Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I have a book haul. It's pretty mighty. So this may be divided into two parts because I don't know who wants to sit around and watch a 40-minute book haul, because I love me some book hauls, but that's a lot. So we'll just see how long it takes and see how descriptive I get, I guess, with these books, and maybe this will be one of two. I don't know. Let's just dive in, okay? All right, so these books, I've been kind of piling up the books I've been hauling lately into one big box over here. So I don't really remember exactly where they all came from, so I'm not gonna worry too much about specifics that way, but okay, we're just gonna go with what's on top. First one we have is A Reluctant Bride by Jody Headland. This is something my mom gave me. I don't even know where she got it from. But it follows our main character, Mercy Wilkins, who is leaving, or she lived in London's like poorest slums. She needed to do something to get out of this where she was living, and she's given an opportunity to join or to ride on a bride ship that's sailing to British Columbia, Canada, and she agrees to do that. So it just follows her journey on the ship and then getting to Canada as kind of a mail order bride, I guess. My mom said it was really good, so I'm gonna give it a whirl. It is the first of a series of 3, so I bought her the second one, which my mom's reading now, and the third one I think comes out end of June, I think. All right, next book I picked up was Behind Every Lie by Christina McDonald. She's the one who wrote The Night Olivia Fell. This I found in a local free little library, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what it is about. I don't want to know what these types of mystery type books are about, so I can't tell you much other than I have heard great things about The Night Olivia Fell, so I thought I would grab it. All right, and of course these two are from Book Outlet. Actually, there's 3. And I'm happy to say I already read one. So the first one is Home Before Dark by Riley Sagar. Oh, I'm loving Riley Sagar. He is just a great thriller, psychological thriller type author. This takes place in a house called Bainbury Hall and follows our main character Maggie as she is not only mourning her father's death, but figuring out that this house that she thought was gone, because she doesn't totally remember fleeing it, but it was not a great memory from her past, that she finds out her father still owns it and has gifted it to her. So she's got to kind of figure out this mystery behind this house, as we are also reading through a book that her father wrote about their time at the house called The House of Horrors. So kind of goes back and forth, somewhat dual timelines, but it's like you're reading a book within a book, which I love. And it was super unique, really good mystery. I loved it. I read this in like 3 days. It was great. The next book that I got from Book of the Month was One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This one drew me in because there's a show that it kind of centers around that's very similar to The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. And our main character, what's her name? B, is overweight, and she loves that show, but yet she hates the show because there's nobody that is on it that is kind of like her, until she gets the opportunity to go on the show herself. She agrees to it, but with one condition, that she will absolutely not fall in love. So we know what's going to happen with that, right? And then the next one I picked up is more or less to give an author that I kind of wrote off a long time ago another chance, because I had really good success with Jojo Moyes' new book, A Giver of Stars, and I kind of had written her off in the past. So I'm like, that's probably not fair. Let's give this person another shot. So I picked up Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. I know this has a bit of a mystery to it, so I don't want to know much else. I want to kind of go into a blind and give Jennifer Weiner another shot. So I picked that up from Book of the Month as well. Okay, so now we get into the pile of books that I'm not entirely sure where they all came from, because they've been here for a little bit. First one I have is Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe by Heather Weber. This one I've been told has fried green tomatoes feels to it, plus this cover. So this follows our main character, Anna, as she is returning home to her very small little Alabama town where her grandmother grew up and where her grandmother has this Blackbird Cafe restaurant. She's there to kind of settle her grandmother's estate, and she kind of had this plan to get in and get out. Well, she gets there and kind of falls in love with this little town. It's very charming to her. There is something that's drawing her in about this cafe, and then she's starting to wonder why her mom fled, as if this wasn't a great place. And so there's some secrets I think that need to be discovered along the way. And again, I've heard fried green tomato vibes, so I'm totally in for this one, so I love it. Okay, I was wrong. These three I just picked up from Barnes & Noble yesterday because we took a little girls' day in the morning. We ran up and got some sweets and stuff and then stopped in Barnes & Noble. So I did not this one. These three. I picked up The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I have had my eye on this forever. So this follows, or this takes place, how do I explain this? So we have our main character who is trying to figure out what happened to Evelyn Hardcastle, and every time he wakes up, it's kind of like Groundhog's Day. It's the same day where it's going to end with the death of Evelyn Hardcastle, but he is in the body of one of the people that were there, or one of the suspects, and so he's kind of learning about this event through different perspectives while trying to solve it himself. So it sounds great. I've heard great things about it. I'm super excited about that. And then of course I picked up Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Very, very intrigued about this one. This follows our main character, Justice, who is African American and kind of trying to survive life, and he is writing letters to Martin Luther King Jr. So I've heard great things. I actually was reading this in the checkout line at Barnes & Noble, and I feel like I'm gonna just fly through this book. Yes, I'm liking it already. And then the last one I picked up yesterday is a book I had not heard of, but I'm super, super intrigued. It is The Words I Never Wrote by Jane Tyne. Tyne? I don't know. But World War II historical fiction, I know. And of course there's dual timelines, I know. All like trigger words for Lindsey having to buy the book. So we have New York present day. We have Juno Lambert buys a 1931 Underwood typewriter that once belonged to a celebrated journalist, Cordelia. That would be Stormy saying his food dish is empty, if you can hear that. So she buys this typewriter, but when she opens up the case, she finds the manuscript of an unfinished novel, igniting a transatlantic journey to fill the gaps of the story of Cordelia and her sister and the secret that lies between them. So then we go into 1936 Europe, where we see this from Cordelia's side of things, and her sister Irene, who marries a German industrialist who whisks her away to Berlin, and then that German ends up being a Nazi sympathizer, and we kind of go from there. So I'm super stoked about this book. All right, one more book that I know where it came from because I won a Goodreads giveaway, which I have yet to have ever won one, and I swear I sign up for a ton every single week, but I finally won one and I'm so excited for this book. It's The Bookweaver's Daughter by Malavika Cannon. First of all, this cover, it's glorious, glorious. So this follows Rhea, and her father is the latest in the fabled line of bookweavers, tracing centuries back to the lost yogis of ancient India, the mythical guardians of a culture who created the world itself. As a result of Rhea's entire life has been shaped by words of mystique and mythology, words of magic that can bring stories to life, words of power that make her father the target of tyrants. Living in disguise as a peasant, Rhea's sole focus has been protecting the bookweaver's secret, but when her father is taken and Rhea inherits his mantle, she must flee deep into the jungle with only her best friend and one ancient book. Grappling with Rhea's new powers, and the two girls find themselves in the center of a war of liberation where magic reigns unchecked and destiny takes a dark turn. In this little book, right? Plus, I love the details, like, yes. So I'm super excited about this. This one actually comes out September 8th, so I will be reading this in August and letting you know. So excited. Okay, the rest of these books, I don't know where they came from. We're just gonna start with The Hiding Place by C.J. Tudor. I picked this up solely because I loved The Other People by C.J. Tudor. I also enjoyed her book, The Chalk Man. Not quite as much as The Other People, but I kind of want to see what else she has for us. So I don't want to know details about these books, so I can't tell you what they're about. But I mean, The Hiding Place, the cover gives me some sort of doom and gloom feel. So I'm sure it'll be fantastic. The next one I have is The Sisters by Claire Douglas. One lied, one died. I don't want to know anymore. Another one that sounds fantastic. And I've been seeing this. I feel like I've seen this on Bookstagram before. The next one I have is And Then You Were Gone by R.J. Jacobs. Again, I don't know what it's about. Other than it sounds, let's see, how can you save someone else if you can't save yourself? After years of learning how to manage her bipolar disorder, Emily Firestone finally has it under control. Even better, her life is coming together. She's got a great job, her own place, and a boyfriend who adores her. So when her boyfriend suggests a weekend sailing trip, Emily agrees. Wine, water, and the man she loves? What could be better? But when Emily wakes the morning after they set sail and the boat is adrift and her boyfriend is gone. Sounds great. The next one I have is Until Tomorrow, Mr. Maresworth by Sheila O'Connor. I like this cover. This takes place in 1968, and 11-year-old Renee Kelly has just one thing she's looking forward to, her route as Lake Library's brand new paperboy. After her mother passed away, Renee and her older brothers were shipped off to live with their grandmother, leaving behind their lives in Missouri for their parents' small Minnesota hometown. Stuck for the summer without a single friend, Renee dedicates herself to her route, which brings her right to the front door of Mr. Maresworth, the town recluse. Renee's undeterred when he won't come to the door to meet her, so she leaves a letter introducing herself, and to surprise, he answers. Oh, that's right, this is all told in letter format. That's why I was so drawn to it. Like, it just looks super cute. And I think, because my middle daughter Emily has been writing letters back and forth with my grandmother, so her great grandmother, and we've been kind of keeping them, and this kind of gave me those vibes, so I know that's why I picked that one up. The next one I grabbed was Sailing Lessons by Hannah McKinnon, because there's a sticker on here I need to get off. I know this takes place in Cape Cod, which is what kind of drew me to it, because for some reason in the summer I love anything that takes place in North Carolina or like Cape Cod or somewhere on the East Coast. I don't know what it is, but I love it. So this one follows Wren Bailey, has lived all her life on Cape Cod with her mother Lindsey, older sister Shannon, and younger sister Piper. Their lives have been dedicated to the seasons, with sleepy gray winters followed by glorious summers and their colorful bustle of tourists. And I believe this follows a tourist she comes into contact with. Yeah. Yes, with overshadowed by the most idyllic existence, though, has been the memory of her father, a brilliant but troubled photographer. He had long made a habit of drifting in and out of the girls' lives until one summer he left the Cape and never returned. 20 years later, he is back, and he brings with him a shocking announcement. In the place that brings both great comfort and great pain, the Bailey sisters experience a summer on the Cape that promises only hard endings, but perhaps hopefully new beginnings. So the next book I picked up was The Boomerang Effect by Gordon Jack. This, I believe, is a YA novel following our main character Lawrence. He's one step away from a reform school and basically has to sign up for this student mentorship program in order to kind of stay out of trouble. And he gets paired with Spencer Knutson, who is a Norwegian exchange student, and then disaster strikes. So during homecoming week, someone dresses as the school's Viking mascot and starts destroying the fairy tale inspired floats. All suspicion falls on Lawrence, and him and Spencer kind of have to get themselves out of this mess. So it sounds kind of fun. All right, next one I picked up was Waking Lions by Ayelet Gundergashian. Wow, I have no idea. This, I think, was a recommendation from somebody at work who picked this up. So it says, after one night's deadly mistake, a man will go to any length to save his reputation and his family. So neurosurgeon Iton Green has a good life, the father of 2 young boys and married to a beautiful police detective. Then, speeding along a deserted moonlit road in his SUV after an exhausting hospital shift, he hits someone. He can see that the victim is an African migrant and they can't be saved, and surely his own family shouldn't have their lives ruined by his careless blunder, so he gets back in the car and drives away. And I can't imagine what happens after that. So that sounds really good. Okay, so I think we're gonna take a pause here. This will be the end of part 1 of the book haul, and keep looking out for part 2. Have anybody else hauled as many books as I have during quarantine? Please say that you have in the comments below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you soon in the next one.